Hey, brothers and sisters. Well, today I was crunching at the last minute kind of to get ready for my adult Sunday school. There's been a lot of news just in the past, literally like 24 hours, and um, I haven't done a news update in quite a while on my channel here. It's impossible because there's just too many things going on. I mean, North Korea launched that satellite, and there's already people that say they see it on the satellite tracker website, which I haven't ever been to, but they were showing clips of it, and it passed right over the center of the U.S. So obviously the launch was successful, and if there was something military about that satellite, or if there was something on there like a small nuke, I guess we'll never know because its orbit right now is, I saw it pass through Canada pretty much on a line through Denver, then down across Mexico, which means, it's flying over pretty near the center of the U.S., which is, where you'd have to do the EMP if you were going to do one. So I don't know what happened to all the big talk about Japan was going to launch a Patriot missile and take the thing out if they saw the rocket take off. That didn't happen. South Korea said there'd be huge repercussions if they tried to launch it. Well, the thing went up there, so I guess we'll just pray that that isn't anything nefarious. Certainly could have been. But since they already see it on satellite tracker, it wasn't a failed launch, which was, I think, some of the initial reports. It's not geostationary. It's rotating around the Earth, but it made it up into the orbit, so it did what it was supposed to do, I guess. So that was one thing, and then we've got this one here. So just look here where Arpad is, according to Bible Hub, and then Aleppo. Now I don't think Arpad is a current day city. It may be, but I just thought that this was interesting. We've had this in the videos before, but Jeremiah 49 and 50, the judgments of the nations, and the trick on here is that Nebuchadnezzar came through this area and did kill many people and destroyed towns and did all that, and that in 605 BC that led to the first capture. There was 3 captures of Jerusalem before the final deportation and the taking of the temple and all that. But in 605 BC, Nebuchadnezzar came through Damascus, and so who knows if there's a near or far fulfillment in here. I want to read this to you, starting in 23 here. Point out some things and just have you think about it. Now, concerning Damascus, Hamath is confounded, and Arpad, for they have heard evil tidings. They are faint-hearted. There is sorrow on the sea. It cannot be quiet. Damascus is waxed feeble, and turneth herself to flee, and fear has seized her. Anguish and sorrows have taken her, as a woman in travail. How is the city of my praise not left, the city of my joy? Therefore her young men shall fall in the streets, and all the men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord of hosts. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the palaces of Benhadad. And, this is interesting to me because when you have the woman in travail reference, that's kind of an indicator of the end times. You see the woman in travail in Daniel 12, the image of the woman with the 12 stars above her head, and she's, about to give birth. There's the picture of it. The woman in travail is used all over in the class today. I was doing Daniel 11, starting at the abomination of desolation and going through the end of 12. And we took a look at the Amos 5 passages again, and we took a look at the Micah 4 stuff where it looks like the Jewish people, some of them in the end time process, are going to be taken captive again and all the way back to Babylon. And as we're looking at that, we ran into the woman in travail references again, and those are clearly, end time passages. So here we are again, woman in travail. So, that usually is bringing forth of the Messiah, the reference there. And for the Jewish people, they missed the Messiah on the first go around. They're going to bring forth the Messiah here through the time of Jacob's trouble, Jeremiah 30. So that's what I see in here. But yes, if the footnotes of your Bible say Nebuchadnezzar came through around 605 BC, that's also true. And so I think this might be a double fulfillment. Long story short, though, on that is Hamath is coming north. Let me see if I got my map up here. It doesn't go far enough south. Well, Arpad is right here by Aleppo. And Hamath is halfway between Aleppo and Damascus. That main thoroughfare. I think there's a valley that goes down through there. I can't remember the topography, but Aleppo is pretty close to the Turkish border. So this is like really interesting, I think, because we've got Syrian forces press Aleppo, sending thousands fleeing. Well, they only got one road out, and I guess it's to the north, and it goes to Turkey. And so there's 20,000 or 30,000, I forget, it was tens of thousands last I saw, standing now at the border of Turkey. And the Syrian forces, and the real interesting thing, if you read any of the articles on this, it's Russia with, Bashar al-Assad's forces, but then with Hezbollah. If you're Israel, how are you feeling about that story? And, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Russia was caught directly arming Hezbollah. And then last week, Russia captured a town, the only border crossing between Syria and Jordan. They captured that town, and right after they captured the town, they turned it over to Hezbollah. And that town, I guess, is like 25 kilometers away from the Golan Heights. So I got to believe, Israel, the IDF, are very, very nervous right now, because clearly Iran is the Hezbollah is the proxy for Iran. They fund them, they train them, they arm them. But now Russia is arming them. Now Russia is dragging them around and doing these major battles. And Aleppo is a huge city in Syria, what's left of it, and now it's emptying out. And so that's wild. Now look at some of the other articles related here. Moscow claims Turkey is planning to invade Syria after discovering hidden preparations of armed forces. And so all the back and forth, but you've got Russia, Hezbollah and all that right in the north surrounding the town of Aleppo, going to retake it. And then Russia says, oh, and Turkey is going to try and come down into Syria, which, since Russia is aligned with Syria, Syria, quote, invited Russia in, whereas if Turkey, a NATO member, double underline that problem, invades into Syria, that's invading into a sovereign country. And just under the UN Charter, they could be attacked, or NATO could be attacked, being that Turkey is a UN or is a NATO country. So you can see the World War III stuff stacking up. I don't know which one of these ends up being the trigger, but there are so many triggers around. Is it is it Hezbollah attacking Israel because they're on the border? When you look at Isaiah 17, it looks like Israel's the one that hits Damascus, probably with a huge, you know, series of bombs or a nuclear device, because in the end it's gone overnight. But it looks like it's in response to something. So does Hezbollah hit Israel and then they respond by taking out Damascus? Or is it this Russia Hezbollah thing retaking Aleppo and Turkey tries to prevent it? Then Russia and China attacking NATO, i.e., you know, the U.S. and its allies because of it. I mean, there's probably a dozen trigger points in here. Who knows which one it is? Or, you know, does the satellite from North Korea drop out of the sky, hit us with an EMP attack, and then somebody responds to that? I mean, there's just, there's too many. This is Sputnik, of course, so I mean, any of these are, you know, mouthpieces for, you know, you learn a lot of stuff with RT and Sputnik and some of these, but, you know, we always, any news source, consider the source as part of it. But we expect a military escalation in Syria, Turkey's true motives. And so again, they're talking about war. As Turkey shows increased signs of invading Syria, Turkish journalist Erman Keet, I guess it is, and Daniel McAdams of the Ron Paul Institute speak to Radio Sputnik's Loud and Clear to discuss the meaning for relations between Russia and NATO. And this is the point I was trying to make before. Turkey isn't just Turkey. Turkey is the point of the tip of the spear for NATO. And so this is, I think this is very, very serious, but what do I know? stuff like this just keeps escalating. You know, I don't know when does the bubble break. I have no idea. Okay, and then let's come over here. This one's big. Unprecedented. Pope Francis and Russian Patriarch Kirill to meet in Cuba to heal the 1,000-year rift. And, you know, the Russian Orthodox, if that helps you, I think the Russian Orthodox Church is, you know, the branch of Orthodox Catholicism, really, if you go all the way back to the time of Constantine, when he moved from Rome to Constantinople, established, you know, the eastern leg. Many folks, including myself, I think it's reasonable to take a look at that statue in Daniel 2 with the iron legs being Rome, but there's an eastern and a western leg of it. And, you know, the as it says here, they had a 1,000-year rift, and now it looks like, you know, they wouldn't have announced that they're going to heal the rift in a neutral place, Cuba, to them is neutral, that they'd heal the rift if it hadn't all been politically arranged beforehand. So in the last days, you got that image of the 10 toes in Daniel 2, and, you know, that represents the final empire, you know, the final Babylonian faith system, political system, financial system. And here you see the faith part of it coming together, because you got the Eastern Orthodox and the Western, you know, Vatican Rome leg of that statue appears to be coming back into agreement. So just, you know, boom, boom, boom. I think it's some huge stuff, Saints. You know, I don't know. I'm looking at something else. I haven't even watched the video yet, but I guess since I'm doing a news update, I'll show you what I'm looking at, and maybe you can laugh at me. There's a lot of people now with, I'd say, non-lens flare type photos and videos of what they think is Planet X or Nibiru or whatever. You know, there's been a long trail of people with, you know, they're getting a reflection from the inside of their camera lens when they point it too close to the sun, and so it looks like two suns. Or they, you know, are getting a reflection off the clouds, or they get a sun dog and they get all whipped up about it. But there's been a couple, oh, I forget the name of the channel. I'm starting to watch his videos, where what he's doing is he's going around to there's a whole bunch of different webcams of the sky around the world. And I'd have to say he's got some amazing stuff he's starting to collect together. Oh, I forget the guy's name. But anyways, the reason why it's more compelling is he's got webcams from different points of the world, and they're all pointing up, and you can see something larger. It's not, Mercury or something going around the sun, some larger object near the sun with a red cloud around it, and he's got it from multiple angles, from Earth, at relatively similar points in time. That to me is starting to get convincing. Now, I haven't even read this one, but in that guy's coverage, here, I'll put it on pause and see if I can't find that guy's link for you. Hang on. Okay, so yeah, this guy's channel is just Steve Olson, and his little logo is, he calls it Wormwood. And some of it's more convincing than others, but he's definitely got some videos that are make you go, like I say, multiple angles at similar time of the day, looking at the same object, and it's not sun dog lens flare or whatever, and it's coming from these sky cams, seemingly, it would be hard to Photoshop all those different sky cams. I think in the one video I watched, he had like 12 or 13 different sky cams he was reviewing. So pretty interesting. Then he pointed to this one today, which this is a guy that's got a telescope that put it onto this object he claims is Planet X. I got to watch this because that's about as clear a shot as I've seen anybody get of something coming through the solar system. So I'm going to check it out. This guy's name is Mark Reed. There's a ton of Mark Reeds on YouTube. You'll just have to search for Planet X. It got life on it. So I'm going to watch that, but not totally convinced we've seen it yet or anything like that. But I am fairly convinced that the sixth seal in Revelation 6 is talking about some sort of an incoming object, whether it's this Nibiru thing or a comet or whatever. It certainly appears to be a comet-ish type of thing because you get the massive earthquakes. There's fire and hail that follow it, and you see it coming in Revelation 6, and I think you see it exiting in Revelation 8 with similar consequences. And so I'll just leave you with that. I am looking for something to come in, maybe not to hit Earth or anything, but something that comes close enough to do the type of damage that you see sitting there in Revelation 6 and Revelation 8. And I don't plan on being here for any of it. But like any of these things, if you start to see things that are told are supposed to happen during the tribulation, it just means we're that much closer to the tribulation. And I think it's funny, I was just saying that, and I noticed the clock said it was 4:44. For those of you that like confirmations of things, I just noticed that while I was talking. All right, Saints, well, I'll leave you there. A little conspiracy stuff, but then some really solid, biblically significant, I would say, things here with the eastern and western leg of the Roman Empire, and then with all this attack that's about to happen on Aleppo, and apparently Turkey going to try and prevent it or to forestall the Russian advance anyways in Syria. So pretty big time. God bless you, Saints.